Hey everyone, welcome. We'll wait a few minutes for people to come in and to get started. So hang tight. Okay. So today we'll be talking about setting up your website SEO foundation. I'm going to go through a little bit about what SEO is. We have a special guest who has been utilizing SEO, and getting started, to doing it yourself, even to paid versions of SEO, paying another company to do it. So he's done it all. We'll go and ask him some questions, and then we'll go into practical steps and tools to get onboarded to SEO yourself. I believe that SEO, at least the basics of SEO, can be done by anyone. A bulk of the work that you might be paying someone else to do, you can do and get started tomorrow, right? It doesn't take a whole lot of effort or money. It just needs a little bit of education to understand what to do, what to look for, and how to do it. So I'm going to be helping you through that with this webinar. Um, and first and foremost, when we talk about SEO, I'm going to be talking about Google more or less. There's a bunch of search engines out there, but for the practicality of keeping this webinar simple, and most people use Google, and that's what we'll be talking about. I want to answer one question. One thing first is, what is SEO? It stands for Search Engine Optimization. And so we're on the same page. It's the process of improving the quality and the quantity of your website and the content on your site for organic traffic, meaning things that you don't pay for. Organic means it does not mean any kind of advertising you pay for, Facebook ads, Google ads, boost promotions. Doesn't include the mailer traffic, social media links and posts, billboard shopping cart ads, like redirects from Google. That is not organic SEO. When we talk about organic, it means this is purely traffic coming from Google, a search engine, and the goal of SEO is to rank higher on that search engine based on what someone puts into the search bar. And we're going to talk about why is it important, right? I think the basis of why we do anything. Why is this important to you? Why is this important to a real estate agent? Good SEO can help bring prospects to you over a long period of time without spending any more ad dollars. Where if you're paying for some sort of pay to play ads, or you're spending a lot of money on some sort of advertising, you need to continue to spend money to bring in the same type of traffic. And so this is where SEO excels. Once you set up a good foundation, you pretty much have a good traffic source, even if you stop working on it, or if you stop paying for some sort of traffic to your content. And that's crucial to build out a long-term, stable book of business, especially as market shifts. This is such a volatile industry compared to most other industries in terms of a rate in which the market changes, really fluctuates who you're trying to target and the people that you're working with, right? And so going more in depth into this, there's different types of SEOs out there. For the simplicity of this webinar, I'm going to keep it to talking about really on-page webinars and the technical, on-page SEO and technical SEO. I will show you these are pretty much the majority of the types of SEOs out there. And to give you a good idea on what that is, I'll go through this list pretty quickly. On-page SEO, anything on your site, content, the URL, making sure that your images can be found using alt tags. Off-page SEO is like social media marketing, reputation building, reviews, social profiles, having that all set up with reviews going to them. Anything outside your website to help Google's SERP. SERP is search engine results page. The ranking page 1, page 2, page 3. That's called the SERP. Technical SEO. This is something usually handled by a web provider. Here at Liftoff Agent, we handle all this for you. If you want access to all of this, just let us know. But Google Search Console, having that set up, that handles all of your crawling and indexing requests, your XML site maps to both your pages and your posts. And then lastly, the biggest one, one of the bigger ones, is local listing management. Making sure your Google can figure out where you are and crawl you for the right type of business, right? That's what that is. White hat SEO. This is this refers to all of the optimization which abides by Google's guidelines, meaning keyword research, doing a lot of research, making sure content is relevant to your audience, links to site, again, that's centered around content, right? These 4, and I rank these in a specific order of what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. I think the top 4 are things that you should consider and do. The bottom 3 are what I don't recommend doing. Also, one of them is also illegal to do according to the NAR Code of Ethics. Gray hat SEO. This is usually used by some SEO agencies. So if you're looking to hire an agency, figure out what they do. Just like how you would interview someone, you want to make sure you hire the right agency. Gray hat SEO is used by agencies because clients want fast results, and usually the top 4 things take a little bit of time to build up. And so gray hat, it falls in between the lines of white and black, right? It's not super frowned upon. People understand why they do it, but yet it's not like, the right perfect way to do things. And that includes like clickbait content, right? Paying for those reviews, trading links with other sites. I can go in depth into it, but for the most part, most agencies do something like that. Black hat SEO is what I would say stay strictly away from, because essentially they use loopholes in Google search algorithm to be able to rank higher. So things like adding keywords that don't match content, which is frustrating to the people coming to your site, spam or paid links, and I kind of equivalent this to catfishing content, right? You promise them one thing in the title and they come to the site and it's something completely different. Yes, it does sometimes work. I've seen it work, but you rank pretty high, but then people get mad because, or at least your visitors get mad because, the content doesn't match what's there. Lastly, negative SEO. This approach is, any approach is intended to harm your competition. So leaving negative reviews on another agent, harming their reputation by putting false reviews. I think all of that, anything that falls into this category is essentially against the NAR Code of Ethics, right? And so I would strictly keep away. And people still do this. So you do have to ask who you're hiring, what they do, how they're doing it, and to make sure you don't suffer, or your website doesn't suffer, or your business because of who you hire. And that I've heard scary stories on that. So should you hire? Should you not hire? The basics of SEO is not hard to do, nor does it take a lot of time. You just need the fundamental understanding of what you're doing, a couple tools, just to help you learn enough to get majority of the work done yourself. That way you don't have to pay a premium to SEO professionals. Also, SEO professionals require that you have certain things in place and done already. A lot of that being content, maybe some keyword research. If you do hire, some of those tips, stay away from the bottom half of that list, black hat SEO and negative SEO specifically. Just like how homeowners, when hiring you, ask a lot of questions, uh, do your research, ask a lot of questions to the SEO companies, ask for track records, and try to kind of figure out the processes to make sure that they're not using some negative SEO or black hat SEO techniques. Um, and having the basic knowledge as we go into this will help you hire and manage a professional when you do get there. Um, Before we get there, I do have a special guest who will go a little bit more in depth into his experience. He has done the four versions of SEO up here. He's done his own content. He has hired an SEO company to write and do the keyword research for his content. We handle all of the technical SEO of his website at Liftoff Agent, and he is all over social media and the review ranking site for off-page SEO. So as we go into this, there are a couple things that a couple options that you have. We're going to be talking about a free way to do SEO, which is a free way to build content, right, around videos and blogs, which is on page. We're going to be talking about paying a company to be able to help build content and do the research. And the third way, which is not really SEO, it's PPC, but it's paying for traffic to some of your content in your website. So I'm going to categorize that as SEO. I know it's not, it's PPC, but I'm going to have Dan come in here and talk a little bit about his experience with those three options. All right, I have Dan here, who is our VP of Growth at Liftoff Agent and a real estate broker and team leader at the Exit Agents, who has been utilizing three forms of SEO, which we'll go into, and he's been doing it pretty successfully. So he's going to talk about his experience with these forms of SEO and traffic building that he's learned in comparison to one another, and most importantly, a good rule of thumb on when and if to start them yourself. So Dan, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Smith.
So I have a few questions. I think just to start, Dan, tell me a little bit more about when you got started with each of these SEO traffic methods.
So since we did our presentation we did with Ed Troxel, we were roughly about 2 to 3 months ago is when we really started to dig deep into it. But it's been roughly from start to finish about 4 months now that time has passed.
And I know you started with one over the other. Was there a reason for getting started in a specific order?
Yeah, so we wanted to first, like everything, right? Everyone's trying to look for the cheapest option, right? Put the sweat equity and the time and educate yourself a little bit about the process. I had a little bit of former SEO education and experience, but so we started with basically creating our own content to rank for free. And then slowly started to transition as we were getting conversion into starting to pay for paid PPC. And then rolling into, after we had a few transactions closed because of the success, then we outsourced it to primarily a very well-known SEO firm that's helped 200 to 300 clients a year. So that's kind of the progression that we did. And the reason why we wanted to first, get some return on investment before we went all the way to the top.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in that same boat. And where are you now? Have you closed business with any forms of these types of SEO?
Yes. So we've closed about 2 transactions from the free SEO, specifically in the funnel that we're talking about with the probate real estate. But we have one pending, and we have 2 other transactions that what I would call direct support from the SEO, which was basically us going out to listing appointments and talking to customers and then providing them more resources. But they originally had found us from SEO. And then all the additional resources, high value content, credibility, references, all of that stuff kind of stacked up to really make all of that fall in line. So 2 closed transactions, 1 that's pending, and 2 more listings that are coming on in the next 2 months. So probably value of all of that together is probably close to $50,000. And we've now even paying our SEO firm, we're about $6,000 in an investment, and we're going to probably make $50,000 to $60,000 in commission.
No, that's exciting to hear. That's some good ROI with just a short amount of time that you started.
Yeah.
No. And I think next, I'm borrowing a couple slides from your pitch deck that you did, that webinar that was joined by Ed Troxel, where he talks about getting people into video who aren't familiar with video just by using their phone. And you went a little bit more in depth into kind of your strategy with option number 3, ranking on Google with YouTube videos, with blogs. So I've taken a few slides from there, and tell me a little bit more about this slide. How much did you spend to get here? What tactics did you do to rank?
Yeah, no, it's great questions. I think the biggest thing to kind of understand in all of this is that video content is really what got us to rank. So keyword search, keyword research, keyword searching on our own, and really looking at what topics individual people were searching for, but also being able to make sure that once we did shoot a great video, making sure it had the right titles and keywords in the copy, both with meta tags, headlines, and body copy for the YouTube video. And specifically putting all this together, kind of how we have helped this rank, right? We have the top as on Google search with this specific keyword term. We're the only videos now in this keyword search. We now, and you can see in this video right here, or in the screenshot right here, it says number 5. We're actually number 2 now. The only people that are beating us are expertise.com, which is a attorney database. So from a real estate perspective, this is a great place to be, because people are going to be searching those 1 to 3, 4, 5 Google searches is what people are looking for. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Video is powerful. Yeah, no, that's great. And obviously, ranking is one thing. It helps bring in, I'm guessing, a ton of traffic to your site. But getting them to convert is another strategy on its own. And you went a little bit more in depth on that. And you were referencing landing pages. Tell me a little bit about the strategy here.
Yeah, what we noticed with most video content that was going out is that most of the call to actions were centered around call me, right? And I think call me is great if you're in an industry that only has phones as the medium of communication, but a lot of people are just doing a lot of pre-research. So email probably wasn't even the next best option. Yeah, people may have questions, they may email, but phone and email were not good enough for us. So we went straight into building a high conversion landing page funnel. We both put Calendly in there for the more sophisticated people who understood that tool and would wanted to jump on the calendar and answer a few questions to get that consultation started. But also in all of that is the credibility that we put in this funnel, so that if people were thinking about calling us, they would see all of those resources and checklists and timelines and credibility, so that call was an easier pickup and dial. I think that's a lot of the hesitation with call to actions that we see in video, is that people don't just want to call you from one video. They want to make sure that they're doing all of their research and due diligence. And I think these high conversion landing pages or funnels are what really helps kind of seal that deal and get people to call you or schedule with Calendly. We also have what I would call a high value content offer, and that has now been converted to our free probate kit. We took a 65 Oregon specific probate checklist, and also the 12 biggest mistakes that executors and administrators make during the probate. And so we led with pain and process. We tied that together to create a kit. That kit is downloadable, and that is an opt-in for first name, last name, phone number, and email address, which allows us to reach out and be proactive when that lead conversion happens. So the call to action methodology is it went from asking them just to call us or email us to scheduling Calendly, downloading our kit. They can always call us and they can also email us. So it just opens all of these different avenues of potential chances of buckets for people to fall in and communicate with you based upon their preference of communication. That's really where it is. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And not only does it help with when someone goes there, I think with all the content that you're putting in, that's what Google's ultimately looking for, right? It helps that on-page ranking. And a lot of people, I think the misconception is, I'm just going to hire an SEO firm and let them deal with everything. And I think there's a little bit of lack of kind of that unique content from your perspective as the agent.
Yeah.
They might write content, but it may not be exactly what you do, right? It's not so pinpointed and something that's super relevant to the people that you're trying to bring to this page. And so I think what you've done here is you've combined a little bit of that, right? You obviously started with building this yourself. Now you have someone who you're paying to help you kind of optimize the existing content that you have. And I think that's kind of a perfect marriage between expectation that an agent should have, right? Is write some of your own content that is totally needed, and then you can hire an SEO firm who will need some of that content to be able to optimize for that keyword in that target market you're trying to target.
And I wanted to just interject one point there. And I just got out of a strategy call literally like 10 minutes ago because you were asking me, are you late? and I was talking about how the content has to be agent specific. It has to be authentic to you. It can't just be packaged up stuff that you are recycling from whatever known source. It ultimately needs to be your process. It ultimately needs to be your factual information that you're providing people. And it needs to come from you. You have to put sweat equity, planning, creativity into this. And a lot of it doesn't take tons and tons of time, but it needs to come from you. It's your business. It's your system. You don't hire a dentist and then they bring you another dentist at your appointment, right? You're going to that person because of their process, their systems, their pricing, and all of that presentation and service and value. And what I see in the real estate business is a lot of people want to do a lot of copycatting and duplicating. But I think in order to have a high conversion funnel and have great SEO be ongoing, that content needs to be consistent and it needs to come from you. That's it.
That totally. And that kind of ties into your marketing equation that you put together here. And it kind of wraps up everything you said. And tell me a little bit about this slide.
Yeah, I mean, early on in my real estate marketing career, we were really, studying different things. And what we noticed is that the marketing equation is like, first, you got to interrupt your prospect, get them to stop what they're doing. And in this day and age in Instagram, when you're scrolling, you can see, 5 to 6 businesses in 10 seconds. That interruption is really critical. Next is engaging your prospects and getting them to watch further. And that's like that lead in, that hook, that ask, that problem, and then educating. This is where the high value content comes in, and education is so important. I try to tell every person in sales, whether it's my own real estate team or with Liftoff, that the prospects and the people that you're talking to do not want to marry you in the first call. They want to be able to make sure that they can feel you out. They want to make sure that you can follow up with some resources, some credibility, and then be able to start to trust you from the education in your expertise in that subject. And then lastly, you need to be able to tie it all together with a really solid call to action that answers their questions in terms of what do I do next? And I think a lot of people shoot great video. They're really good at the hook. They're really good at maybe stopping people and interrupting them, but they're horrible at actually converting because their call to action is either too simple or too basic or general. And I think that's really ultimately what people want to be told is, what do I do next?
No, that's kind of a good roadmap to follow. for every part of a business when you're starting this content and building that on-page SEO. I could see this applying to a video on your page, applying to how to build the landing page format, to really just writing your blog, right? I appreciate you sharing this. Thank you. I think the next question that we want to get into is we talked a little bit about building the content, probably doing this for next to nothing, right? What is it? What is your experience and what have you learned from working with an SEO firm?
There's a lot of research that goes into the first 0 to 30-day launch, and then what they call month 0. From that point forward is when they're really starting to see, first they're trying to look at everything you're doing, get a pulse and a benchmark on it. And then next they're going to start offering recommendations and ultimately sub pages that may be needed within your funnel, or sub page that maybe would be a resource that you're adding to this. And then also the blogging content, the video content that really ties it. And what I was really trying to set forward in all this process is, how do I provide enough value to the prospect or the person that is looking to search this subject, whether it's in YouTube search engine or on Google. And I think that's the process that the SEO firm is really trying to help me, because as of right now, like with Oregon Probate Real Estate inside of YouTube, I hold the first position, the fourth position, the seventh or eighth position, the ninth position, all on the first page of YouTube. So, and this is like over people who have been around for 6 months to 6 years shooting very specific content, a lot of prominent attorneys. So that's what the SEO firm's helping me with, is like, what content with the best search and keyword terms do we need to create? But also, how do we can do this without you having to pay a significant ad budget on YouTube or Google PPC and be able to rank quickly? So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And my last question is, for the viewers here, in what order, budget, or stage would you recommend our viewers to start working on these 3 traffic options?
First order is definitely start by getting comfortable in video, doing some keyword search, understanding the FAQ process of your prospect, which means what are they going to be asking themselves in terms of what they're searching. And so option 3 is definitely where to start. It allows you to do a lot of trial and error and mess up during the process, but it also allows you to hone in the micro content that's going to come from it as you get deeper and deeper into that into that thought process, right? You may shoot 10, 15 videos about all the most common sense questions or keywords that come up. But as you get more granular and as you get very specific in providing authority in that subject matter, you're going to want to start promoting and paying somebody to help take all the stuff that was the most frequently asked questions and content and start promoting that behind you as you go deeper and deeper, because the deeper and deeper content is good, but it's has a less of a probability of search result. So you need to start there and then start to move that process as streamlined as possible. And I think if you start with just paying somebody, the return on investment is not going to happen just immediately because they don't have anything to work with. And that has been the feedback from the SEO firm. When they interviewed us on the intake, they were like, guys, like we have hundreds of clients and like you have like over 50 to 60 YouTube videos. You already have a funnel built. You already have resources and downloadable action items. You have opt-ins, you have Calendly, like this stuff is dialed. And so all of that was a small expense in building the website with Liftoff Agent, a small expense of time and energy to think about the process, the systems, the content that we were going to put there. And then a small expense of having a Calendly account. I don't even know, what is it, $15 a month? And then putting all that together, packaging it, getting a $15 selfie stick and some ear pods and shooting video. So start at option 3, then go to, I think the best option is then go to option 1, help them, and then go back to option 2 and start promoting it.
No, that's good advice. And I think a lot of people starting out kind of don't understand that, yeah, the SEO firm needs the arsenal of content and that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, for those of you here who, haven't really started too much content building, video building, Dan has a great webinar that he did with Ed. Ed starts off by helping, and he specializes in helping people start with video, right? Just with
Yep.
your phone, right? No special equipment needed in getting ready and getting on camera. And Dan goes into what to do with that video, how to get it up, what to write, where to put it, how to distribute it. And so I'd recommend going and checking that out. We'll have that somewhere you can access from this webinar. And Dan, I appreciate you being here, going through and talking about your experience with SEO. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Smith.
All right. All right. So now that we've gone over a little bit about kind of the types of SEO, a little bit about kind of first world experience, and when you should start different types of SEO and hiring, if to hire, when to hire. Let's talk about Google. Let's jump back. What in the world is Google? And this is super helpful when you are trying to figure out what to do in terms of creating content and optimizing your content, doing your keyword research. This is kind of the fundamental of starting any of that. And so Google, what do they look for? The number one goal for search engines is to be the best matchmaker. They want to be the matchmaker between the person putting in the question into their Google search and then providing all of the best results they can, or the best result they can, to that person as the number 1, 2, or 3. And that's all they care about. And so that really kind of shows what are people searching, what to put into your content. And so I'll start here. What not to do, right? I think there are a lot of misconceptions behind SEO, a lot of things that people have been taught or heard, and time has passed. They may have worked, but they don't work anymore. So in today's day and age, what not to do. Number one, make website content for your users, not Google, right? Google likes it when people stay on your site, right? That's one of the ways that they figure out, is this content good? They also like it when people don't leave as fast, right? And so if someone comes here and reads this, the best laptops in the market are laptops at the lowest price and the best quality. This is the best laptop, best laptop, best laptop. Yes, it does help with ranking you higher because you have a lot of the right keywords, right? And take this into equivalent of like San Francisco real estate agent, best San Francisco real estate agent. I'm the best San Francisco real estate agent if you're looking for a home. It does help, but if someone leaves after reading this and it just doesn't make sense, or it's a lot of gibberish and useless content, people are going to leave right away after seeing this. And so Google takes that into account and ranks you lower. If someone's not staying here and going through the page and staying on your page, that's not going to help you anymore. So make keywords and use keywords with a grain of salt. Put them in there, but not too often. Same thing with links. You don't want a ton of links like this. Yes, they do help if they're helpful links, like they're going somewhere. But at the end of the day, you really don't want people to leave your site. And too many links can really, hurt you if someone's leaving, bouncing in and out. And so avoid tricks like links. People, I think one of the misconceptions is put a lot of links in, helps your SEO. That's not always the case. Here, we went over this. Don't deceive your users. I call this catfishing content. Don't promise them one thing in the title and show them another thing, right? Make sure that whatever you put in the title, in in the descriptions, in the meta, like it matches what the content's about. Obviously, you want to do some manipulation to the title to make sure that it does match with what people are searching, but take that only so far as to make it so that still the content still works with that title. Lastly, a lot of people use blogging services, AI writing services. Not going to go and name names, but not necessarily. Google doesn't necessarily shun this or say, hey, that's bad if you find duplicate content. A lot of the times, the AI services will distribute that same blog to 100 people. And this one, it's not so much for Google. It's for the people coming to your site. If your site has the same content as another agent that they found right next to you in the same office, people are smart. They're going to leave. They're going to realize that none of the content that on your site is relevant because you just have, content that everyone else has. It's just copy and pasted. And so make your content relevant to your audience and unique. It really keeps people on your site. Not only that, what's really helping with content driving, as you heard from Dan, is videos. And that's not something that can be duplicated, right? That's unique content to you. So this is a short list of what not to do, the most common things. And so what's more helpful, I think, is what to do. What does Google look for when they're looking at putting that best content, being that matchmaker between someone's question and the content that you have? And so first, create unique, valuable content clear to your visitors. Longer durations are positive alerts. The longer someone stays on your site, watches a video, reads and scrolls, the better that Google likes it. Number two, keep page loading quick. This is kind of part of the technical SEO portion. Google knows how fast your page loads, if it loads, how well it loads on mobile, especially. Make sure it loads quickly. There's a bunch of tools we'll get into and how to do that. That should be a web provider. General rule of thumb, it should load in 1 to 3 seconds. I know it's a little slower if you're on a WordPress site and you have a bunch of content, but keep it loading quick. Number three, social shares. If someone shares your post on a social media, or if you have a bunch of those buttons on the blogs that say share on social and people click it, that's a good sign to search engines like Google saying, hey, people are liking this content. Maybe we should put this up a little higher. So share your posts, share your blogs that you write, share your web pages for traffic. Four, the more people who come to your site, that's a good thing for Google too, right? If hundreds of people are coming to your site from all different sources, from social, from Facebook, YouTube, from organic search, from paid search, asterisk there, the better it is. And so that also sends positive alerts to Google. And then keep page titles clear and relevant. Obviously, you want things to make sense, things to match up to what people are searching, and the content to match up to what people are searching. So that's also good. And they look for that. And so this gives a goal for us as we look at Google's goal, which is to be that matchmaker between the people searching and the best content out there for that question that someone's searching for. Your goal is to show the users what they want, show them what they're searching for. To do that, we need to understand what are the visitors searching for? What are the people, my buyers and sellers, that I want to attract? What are they searching for? And that goes into targeting, right? We need to do a little bit of research on what the heck they are searching for, right? What do my visitors want? And so this is kind of a time to do a little bit of that research. SEO companies can help with this, and they charge a nice premium to help with this and talk you through this. And so you've probably talked to a lot of coaches. Question that they ask: what is your client avatar? Build your client avatar. Who are they? 30-year-old, commutes to the city, still working, looking to upsize their house, first home into their second home. They need education on loan types, relocating, whatever that is, right? Got to know your audience. And then one thing I ask before you even start that is, where is your area expertise? If your audience is dealing with trusts and probates and you have no idea what that is, nor have your certification in that, it's probably not a good idea to start writing and doing video content on that, right? And so this should be a good mesh of who you want to target, who should you target, right? Where is your expertise? And then finding out what people are searching for, right? This is a lot of the work. Yes, content building, filming the videos, that seems a lot daunting, but half of the work is figuring out what to film, what to write, and to actually go and do that, right? And so I'm going to help you out here a little bit. This is the top terms that people are searching for. And ideally, this is a list that can get you started, but I'm going to show you how to do this research yourself as we go into it and give you some tools, and show you how to search a lot of these things. But first-time home buyers, they need a lot of education. They are primarily doing a lot of research themselves, especially this day and age where people have YouTube. Before they even contact an agent, way before they contact an agent, they have pretty much figured out and done a lot of the research on YouTube. In terms of keywords, I'm going to kind of go back and forth, right? Different audiences use different mediums. I'm going to include search engine, YouTube into the search engine category, right? And so first-time home buyers will probably do some sort of search like pros and cons of living in a city, best neighborhoods in a city, what are the home prices in a city, can I afford in this city, what's it like living in this city? Then they'll go deeper into the neighborhoods. What is the best neighborhoods in this city, right? What are the top schools in this city? And so those are all the key terms and more for a first-time home buyer. For probate, I think it's a little bit more straightforward, right? They are looking to probate terms, right? Those people understand the value of hiring a professional. It's a little bit more confusing and less content out there in terms of probate and trust. And so they might go directly to searching top probate agent in Oregon, top probate agent in this. How does a probate work? And can you sell a home in probate in Oregon? Probate laws, and so, and they're probably doing that on Google, right? This demographic may be a little bit older, trying to figure that out. Let's go into downsizers. In California, the biggest search term is Prop 19 tax assessment. How does that affect me? Challenges of downsizing in a city, downsizing planning in a city, right? Those are a lot of terms that people are searching. With the demographic of downsizers, generally, they will sit and listen or read any content you put in front of them. You don't need to catch their attention with anything flashy like you may need to for first-time home buyers, right? You don't need top quality video. They're willing to sit and read. Right? That's the benefit of downsizers. So knowing your audience can really help you figure out how to target them and to figure out essentially what they're searching, right? And to preface that, most SEO companies will spend 4 to 5 hours with you doing a lot of research. You're paying them a few $1,000s to sit with you and answer these questions. They will come back to you with top keywords of competitors and a whole analysis on this. But for the most part, like as Dan said, you can do this research yourself. Film a few of these videos, put it up, see what hits. It ultimately, even the SEO company, you're doing a lot of trial and error. They're going to put things up, put content up, and then monitor it, and then see if those keywords stick or not. And if they don't, they just change the title of the video, the title of the blogs. And that's pretty much most of the work of SEO is just A/B testing, right? And you can go back and change the title of the videos and the blogs, and that's what they're doing, right? To see what's working and what's searching. Now they have far more advanced tools. They'll probably be a few more steps ahead than what you're going to do, but you're not paying anything to do this, right? And it does work. And so, like Dan said, put it into action, create some content, create some videos, get that on a landing page so that you can convert if someone is going to your site. And then how do I measure this, right? And this is one tip before we go into actually going through tools and getting things set up is the KPIs. Your KPI should be how many sales did I get, how many downloads, how many signups, how many contact forms filled out, how many phone calls, right? It should not be, am I number one in the ranking, or how much traffic did I get on this, right? Even though this is, that's the thing that we're talking about, ranking and traffic. Those should not be a means to an end, right? Those are a way to get sales. So yes, you can track it, but the ultimate KPI should be sales, downloadables, and phone calls, form submissions. I have seen plenty of times where someone was number 2 on the list, meaning second page on Google. Everyone says, I don't want to be on the second page. I want to be on the first page. And there, I had another client in that same market who was on the first page. The person who was on the second page, because of their content, even though they weren't on the first page, they were getting less traffic, but they were closing more deals, more signups, more downloads, more contact and phone calls than almost by double than the person who was on the first page. And the only difference was the first person optimized their content specifically to the top search terms, and they spent a lot of time on that, but they didn't really spend time on the content. The second person didn't do the ton of time on the SEO portion, but they made really good content, and they converted. So it's not just about SEO and ranking. It's also about what's on the page, and that's important. Google goes and figures out what's on the page with their algorithms and bots, but they ultimately don't know exactly what's on the page in terms of how valuable that content is to that person. So, think of your audience in mind first, right? It's not about appeasing Google. That's a part of it, but the ultimate goal is making sure that you can convert that content, and that content is valuable to your audience coming to your site. So, going through tools. Now, I'm going to be going and setting up a few tools after this, but I wanted to give you kind of the 4 quadrants of tools that you should have. And you can explore these if you don't like the ones that I work with you on setting up in this webinar. But one is keyword research. It's the research phase. Google Trends, Keyword FX, there's a SEM Rush. All of those tools tell you one thing, or a couple things that is super useful, which is how many people in volume have searched this term. If you put in top agent in Eugene, Oregon, it will tell you that 42,000 people searched this in the past 30 days. If I put in top agents in Oregon, that's not specific to Eugene, maybe you work in a bigger market, they'll tell you 180,000 people searched this in the past 30 days. So that's a little bit of research in what keywords to use. I would even also bet to say just use google.com, right? If you don't even know what type of keywords to do, go to Google, right? And put in and start typing, right? Pros and cons to living in Oregon, and then Google has this awesome feature called autofill. It'll show you all of the suggested searches that Google thinks that your audience have searched. And so that's a really neat tool to use if you have no idea where to start, right? To use that tool. And it's free, it's easy, it's right there. Second, this is the technical SEO, making sure that your website is loading quickly, it's mobile friendly, You have all of Google's robots can go through your site and read it well. Those are all of your tools there. Google has a couple tools that you probably should have set up. I recommend just like really the first two. If you're new at this, Google Search Console, making sure again that's a little bit of technical SEO, but your web provider should be doing this for you. That makes it so that your bots can rank. Your website has indexing on Google Analytics, so you can track everything that's happening in terms of traffic, where people are coming from. SEO rank tracker, that's helpful once you start pushing out content. You have an idea of where you're ranking. Like, let's say you're trying to rank for Oregon real estate agent, and once you put in your website and those keywords, it will tell you your website is ranked number 85 today. You go back a week from now, it'll notify you your website is now ranked 5 today. So it keeps track of where you rank depending on the key term. And that's a very useful tool. All right, let's get into building out kind of the basic tool set of SEO. And this is my recommendations. This shouldn't take you longer than a few hours to complete. And it vastly increases your SEO presence. It does a lot of the technical SEO. It helps with tracking your SEO. And so here are some of the basic tools. Step one is set up a Google My Business profile. I think they now call this Google Business Profile. Make sure you have information, website photos. It's just a really good place to start collecting reviews that when people search you on Google, that you pop up. What that looks like is something like this. Of course, this is my admin tools, but when someone searches your name on there, this card on the right that pops up with reviews, phone number, Calendly's, everything you name it, you can have on there. And it's a really powerful tool for someone who is intentionally searching you to be able to pop up. Not only that, when you go in and do a search for a general like real estate agent, that's what pops up on this map here as well. These are all Google Business Profiles. Now there's a whole algorithm around that, but if you have certain things set up, at least you'll have this when someone's searching for you. That also gives you in-depth analytics on how many people are searching for you, clicking, average position for that search impression. So it's a really powerful tool, and it just is as easy as setting up any other social media profile. You just follow along, go to business.google.com, get that set up. The link is provided right there. Number two, set up your Google Search Console and submit your sitemap. I know that you may have no idea what that is, but for the most part, ask your web provider for your sitemap list. It will be some sort of URL. All you need to do is go and create an account by going to that link. When you're there, you're going to be able to, there's some installation instructions, but most of the part, you're going to need to get sitemap URL. It'll be something like this. It'll have some sort of .xml at the end of it. You should get a few from your web developer, the most important of which is your post sitemap and your page sitemap. And there might be a general sitemap as well. So get those entered into here and submit it. Google will start crawling you. That just helps Google's, that tells Google the pages and posts on your site when they crawl your site. It also gives you an idea when something breaks, when something doesn't work correctly. It gives you a notification that you need to fix it and what's wrong. So it's a really powerful tool to just maintenance kind of the technical side of your website. It's also a powerful tool to see the types of videos you have on your like the types of pages, what's working, what's not. So, things like 404s that I mentioned, you can figure out what those are and get those fixed. Number three, Google Analytics. I know most of you are familiar with this. Get it set up, get it tracking. Even if you have no idea how to use it, at least you'll start tracking it and collecting data. You just go through the steps of setting it up, and then you just need to send a snippet or a code to your web developer, and they'll take care of the rest. For those of you who have a Liftoff agent site, we have all of that done already. Have a page on your website for each audience. Use those keywords from your research. Landing pages are critical, and it's a good place to write specific content to your audience. So if you're trying to get ranked for probate agent in Oregon, you should probably have a page dedicated to probate, and specifically probate in Oregon, where you can write information, blogs, and videos for that specific topic. Not only will it help SEO, it gives you a page to bring people to and target to for that specific audience. So use those keywords on those pages. The next one is your website speed. Your website should load in a few seconds. The quicker the better. There's a tool called gtmetrics.com. Once you go there, you put in your URL and it spits out how fast your website is. Now, of course, WordPress loads slower. Any system like that with a bunch of plugins and a bunch of themes, and for the most part, it's okay, actually. If you're ranking because of WordPress and it's a little slower, ideally it should be quick, but WordPress loads slower. It's fine, but you should try to still strive for under 5 seconds. HTML, CSS loads a lot faster. When you put in your URL, this is what you'll see. You'll get a grade, performance and structure, the time it takes for things to load. I say the grade is important to look at, but really look for the page load here. And it gives you top issues here that you could fix. Obviously, there are, like with WordPress, you'll have a lot of something called JS, like to minimize your JS, your tools, and that's a little hard to do with WordPress because it's such an expansive web builder. We at Liftoff Agent, we build on 2 platforms. We do have WordPress traditional for those people who want to be on there on our older sites. We also have a new platform that is what it's ranking. It's built for page speed and landing pages and conversions, and that's something that we have on our new platform. That's not WordPress based. We have 2 options. But yeah, talk to your web developer, get those tools fixed. It's really helpful if you can actually take this and screenshot it and send it. Say, hey, are you able to tackle some of these? Over time, website does slow down. So it's important, as you add content, images, and all those things, it's important to kind of take a look at that every once in a while and just kind of tackle that. The next is straightforward, have a mobile-friendly site. Google ranks for that, and they actually take that into account into their algorithm. If you don't have a nice site that loads nicely on mobile, they're going to rank you a little lower than other people. Next is get access to your website SEO features. That's the ability for you to change page titles, description, and images for each page and each blog of your site. And then even then, there are another set of page title descriptions and images for social media and links, and that's called Open Graph. Many sites don't have those 2 abilities. They only have the main page title description images. If you're on WordPress, you can get a bunch of plugins, ask your web developer for that. But for the most part, ask your web provider to give you access to these tools. It's important. It's easier on some platforms than others. Like WordPress, it's maybe a little bit more confusing for agents to go in there and actually dig in and edit those. And so some web providers are a little reluctant to give out access to those things. But that's the same case for us. We have 2 platforms. It's a little easier to do it on the non-WordPress platform that we have, but we will give you access to both if you ask for it. And then add alt descriptions, meta tags, descriptions, and image tags. That means when Google crawls for an image, they have no idea what they're looking at. If your image is titled untitled-1.jpg, right? You gotta name what that is. So if you have a picture of the team, rename it, team photo. And you don't have to do that when you upload the file. Most websites give you the option to add those descriptions to those images in an image library. So go in there and do that. Not only does that help your SEO, it also helps ADA compliancy. get that done. For the most part, if we handle your website at Liftoff, we already have all of that done already for you, so you don't have to worry about that. The last thing is add local schema markup to your site. What this does is it tells search engines what your content means. So if you have a page full of videos, you should probably have a local schema markup to that page that tells Google that this is a page of videos. They don't naturally know that. If you have a blog area where you have a ton of information on blogs and posts, you should put this local schema markup on all of your blogs, and that tells Google, hey, these are all blogs, categorize them as such. So a local schema markup helps Google to tell what your content is. So there's probably 3 you'll use. Local business, which is probably for your main site, tells them, hey, this is you, you're an agent, you're local. You know, when someone searches for something in the local city, like, it helps them pop you up faster. Articles, videos, respectively, for those contents. There are a lot of WordPress plugins. If you're on our newest platform at Liftoff Agent, we do this all for you. If you're on a WordPress older platform like pre-2020, you probably don't need to do this because it's been some time and Google knows your content. But there is a tool that you can use no matter what website provider or what website platform you use. Here's an example of one, and all you need to do is go in there. Your web developer needs to do this, but you can go in there and say, hey, I'm a local business, write in your local schema, which is this is pretty much your Google profile, right? And then get this added to your site, the pages that you need them to. Same thing with videos, same thing with articles. Get those added onto the site. Generally, for the most part, get the local business added to your page, and then for the articles and your pages and your videos, that should be done through whatever web platform that you use. It's a little easier to do it that way. And so that right there, I think those are 9 things. Those 9 things should be able to get your website organically ranking pretty high just by doing that. The next part is content, but just getting this done should get a nice foundation of your website ranking. Your Google will start to like your site, and as you start putting content up, it'll get much easier to get up and found when all of this is set up. Not only that, you can track everything. So right there, you can use some of those tools that I recommended right before this to be able to track your ranking standing once you have content going out. But this should all be set up prior to any content going out. Pretty much when your website gets put up, this should be live. And so with that, I have a couple things. We're talking about content. Real quick, who we are. If you don't know, if you're not a client of ours, we build websites to help real estate agents better target the prospects. That results in more leads and higher conversion rates. So our belief is that websites shouldn't stay static. You should be able to use them, continually add content, use that content to help with your marketing efforts, right? To help your conversion when you're spending money on mailers, you're spending money on ads, you're doing videos. Your website should be a part of that and help your conversion rates on there. We also believe that educating agents to stay up to speed is the way to go. We don't want to just build your site and say good luck. We want you to use it, right? Set up the foundation. We build the site, then we work with you to educate you and kind of put together some sort of roadmap to use your site. And so that's an important belief that we see, that if you are up to learning how to use your site, we would really love to work with you. That's who we gel best with. And so if you are interested in talking about your site, if you don't have a site with us, schedule a demo with us. No obligation. You'll meet with one of our sales teams to be able to go in and talk through your site, talk through your marketing, see if we'd be a good fit. And if you already are a customer of ours and you're interested in that new platform that I was talking about, that's not on WordPress, gives you full access to all of that SEO stuff, shoot us an email, support@liftoffagent, and just say, hey, I watched the webinar. I'd love to check out the new platform. I'll send you my link. We can kind of hop on a call, discuss the pros and cons, compare it to your site, see if you'd want to move over. So I'll leave that link there. And kind of the next part to this is if you are doing the SEO and you've set all that up, the next part of that is content and traffic, right? And Dan and Ed just did a really good webinar. Ed, who talks about just getting started with video, right? If you're not familiar with video and you don't have a lot of equipment, really just an iPhone, that's all you need to start. He covers kind of the basic building blocks of getting started on video creation. And then Dan will go through and tell you how to rank with that video, right? Just the basics of how to upload it, where to distribute it, kind of what to build out on your website, and where to place those videos. It's a really good webinar. I recommend checking it out. You can scan that QR code right there. You should be able to watch it instantly. It's a recording that we did a few weeks back. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. And of course, you're welcome to always schedule that demo right there. If you want to email me directly, you can email support@liftoffagent.com and just say attention Smith. And if you have any specific questions about SEO, I'd be happy to answer them. And yeah, thank you for attending, and I will open it up to questions now.